Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. Today is January 2nd, 2024, and today is day two of my countdown of my personal list of the top 3,000 rock songs of all time. And number 2999 is Revolution 9 by the Beatles. Pretty strange song. It was featured on the White Album, also just called the Beatles. Here's a picture of the Beatles around that time. It came out in 1968, late in 1968, and there was 30 songs on this album, just called the Beatles. It was a big album of theirs. It was their only double LP, I believe, two records inside, in total 30 songs. It's a really excellent album, by the way. Most of these songs are very excellent and very creative and innovative. I think it was kind of their innovative period. But Revolution 9 is a pretty strange song. I mean, it's I think it's next to last song on the album. It's on side 4. And I remember when I first bought this album, I love the Beatles. I've always loved the Beatles, but they had another song I think the same year called Revolution, which is a really excellent song. It's kind of about the whole revolutionary mood of the era during Vietnam, and they even had another version, a slower version of that same song called Revolution 1, which is also on the White Album, interestingly. I think it's the first song on side 4 of the White Album, and it's a pretty good version. I don't like it as much as the Fast version, which was their hit. Uh, but Revolution 9, I thought that was going to be a third version. I listened to this thing and I was thinking, what the hell? I mean, it was just, it's a music, it's like a sound collage. It's not even really a song. It goes on for 8 minutes and it starts number nine, number nine, number nine. Very strange song. And then it goes through all these different kind of random sounds of different things going on. I don't even know what it was. I think there was a soccer game where it was saying "block that kick," something like that, and then also introducing some popular dances from the early '60s, like the 2C and the twist. And at the end, there's I think it's Yoko saying, "You become naked." I don't know what that's all about. So it's a very bizarre song. And I've learned some things about it over the years since I first listened to it. Apparently, Paul didn't like this song, and John it's credits to both John and Paul, but John was, I think, the main composer, and he also worked along with George Harrison and also Yoko. And I think Paul just kind of went along with it, but he never really liked it. And the other really weird thing about this song is if you played part of it backwards, I think it's the part where the guy at the beginning, I don't know who that was, but when he was saying number nine, number nine. If you play that part backwards, it says "Turn me on, dead man" repeatedly. I don't even know how many times it says that. I never actually listened to the record backwards myself, but I've heard this trivia many times. And I think this was part of this big hoax they were playing in the late '60s where they wanted their listeners to believe that Paul was dead and replaced by double. I don't know why they did that. Kind of a weird thing they did. I guess it just got him more media attention. And but that's just one more thing I want to say before I get off of this. I remember on Saturday Night Live, maybe sometime in the '90s, Chris Farley was on. There was a classic episode where Chris Farley had this talk show on the show. It was a fake talk show, but he invited Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney was the guest musician on the show. So on this fake talk show, Chris Farley invited him on the show. Pretty amazing scene. I think it was the best one he did. But the beginning, he said, "Remember," he's a really stupid talk show guy. He says, first he says, "Remember when you were with the Beatles?" And Paul said yes, and he's like, "That was awesome." That was great because then everybody was just applauding because the Beatles really were awesome. But then later he asks him because he's so stupid. He mentions the whole hoax about them spreading this rumor that Paul was dead. He asked Paul. He says, "Remember when everybody was saying Paul was dead, and there were all these hints that you were dead?" And then Paul said, "Yes." He said, "That was a hoax, wasn't it?" I thought it was hilarious. And then Paul just says, "Yeah, of course it was a hoax. I wasn't really dead." But I don't know. It was just kind of a fun thing they did, and but I don't know. I'm not crazy about Revolution 9. I might as well tell you guys, I have 91 songs by the Beatles on my top 3,000. This is the bottom of all of them. It's not one of my favorite Beatles songs. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but I love almost everything by the Beatles. But I don't think this song was really necessary because they had so many other great songs. But I mean, there's a lot of interesting trivia associated with it, and I guess it was a little bit of John's craziness, whatever it was. You can, interpret it however you want. But anyway, that's my profile on song number 2999 on my list, Revolution 9 by the Beatles. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.